Hello, welcome back to Posted. When we left off last time, Rose had successfully cleared the gauntlet. And now we are waiting to kind of hear what she's going to write on Cameron's shirt on a post-it note for him to wear for the day. Should be interesting. We also learned that Rose has a lot of money. She has a humongous house. Definitely could afford the clothes and purses and supplies and everything she needs to have a very popular existence, but chooses something different. So, curious about that. I woke up the next morning with a Christmassy feeling in my gut, eager to get to school. Post-it notes were officially banned at BMS, of course, but a deal was a deal. If Rose had lost, we'd all be sporting swirly mops of hair, with our shirt collars damp with toilet water. But she didn't. Cameron smacked wood 3/4 of the way down, and it was payback time. He promised to wear it the whole day. Rose's note saying absolutely anything she wanted. So many delicious possibilities. On the bus ride, sitting by myself, I wrote down some ideas just in case she had writer's block. Beaten by a ninja sorcerer princess. Teachers, please don't make me sit. I just got my butt kicked. I'm dodging a puny because a dweeb woke my node. Or a big fat capital L, just like the one that someone, maybe even Cameron, had left in my own locker a few days ago. I had a dozen suggestions by the time I pulled into school, ranging from clever to put-downs. And after all, I was a poet. I have a way with words. Turns out, though, she didn't need my help. That's when I realized the true brilliance of Rose Holland. The butter yellow note was already stuck to Cameron's chest when he moped through the hall before first period, attached with a safety pin, so that way it wouldn't accidentally fall off. I read what she wrote, and I shook my head in admiration. It was absolutely perfect. Had it been anything else, it wouldn't have worked. Maybe Cameron would have refused to wear it, or he would have worn it proudly, knowing the first teacher or administrator he saw would tell him to throw it away. Anything derogatory or insulting would have drawn too much attention, or the wrong kind of attention. But this was different, masterful in its simplicity. Maybe it wasn't an amorphism, but it spoke to a basic truth, and it was awesome. Cameron walked through the school with his head down most of the day, sitting quietly in his classes in the corner. To my surprise and everyone else's, including Rose, he kept his word. Literally, he never once took the note off. He didn't touch it, as if he was afraid the paper might burn him. The teachers didn't say anything either, despite the fact they had made a mandate to take every note that they heard. But this one, they let this one slide. Maybe it was because they heard what happened, or maybe they made an educated guess. They couldn't see the bruises on Cameron's legs, but there was no mistaking the purple hue of his nose, like a squashed eggplant set between two bloodshot eyes. Maybe they thought the message was worth sharing no matter who it was pinned to, and after everything that had happened, all the things they read, whatever the reason, they let him wear that note all day. And I relished every moment I passed him in the hallway, until I saw him heading straight for Dee Dee's locker after the final bell. I tensed and looked for Rose, but I couldn't find her. Wolf was gone too. Maybe they were somewhere together. It was just Dee Dee and me all over again. I crossed the hall quickly, standing by his side. "Cameron," I whispered in Dee Dee's ear, nodding. Dee Dee's eyes exploded from his skull. Desperate, I even looked around for bench, but all I saw was Mr. Parker, one of the science teachers. At the very least, I knew he would intervene if things got physical, if Cameron tried to push us into the bathroom. The boy with the note on his chest stopped less than 2 feet away from us, and Dee Dee stepped even closer to me, his backpack held in front of him like a shield. The purple nose and painful-looking raspberries on his arm made Cameron look even dangerous than usual. The day was over. All bets were off. Rose's note had humiliated him, and now he was going to take it out on us. He brought his hand up, and Dee Dee flinched, expecting a shove. But Cameron was reaching for the note. He ripped it free of its pin, and he put it on Dee Dee's locker. He didn't say a word. His face was wooden, no smiles, no grimaces, no leers. He just turned and walked away, leaving Rose's half-torn note hanging lopsided on its one sticky corner for everyone in the hall to see. It said, "I'm sorry." Dee Dee peeled the note off and held it between us. His whole body shook with relief. "It looks like we won," he said. I took Rose's note from him, rubbing my thumb over the words. "Yeah, it looks like it." The war was over. I was sure of it, and Dee Dee was sure of it. But we were both wrong. There was still one last message to be posted. Whoever left it broke the rules, scrapping sticky notes for something stronger. There was no paper to peel it off, nothing that could be easily erased. This message was written in permanent black marker, with thick black lines that couldn't be missed. There had been thousands of notes over the last week, so many that you kind of grew numb to it, so many snide remarks, so many loaded looks. But this one was different. It wasn't just the fact that it was scrawled in marker, kind of permanent, filling half the locker door. It was what was written underneath it. It was a kind of code, but the meaning was clear. I turned the corner the morning after the apology, and I saw Wolf standing in front of his locker, an invisible barrier between him and the cluster of students surrounding him, watching him reach out and trace the black letters with one finger. He set his backpack slowly on the ground and took 2 steps back, his body rigid. He looked down the hall, his cheeks flushed, eyes flashing as he spotted something or someone. I reached out to stop him, to say something, but he brushed past me, storming down the hall until he was face to face with the person he locked eyes with. He grabbed Bench by his jacket and shoved him against the row of lockers. Bench hit the locker with a hollow metallic thud. He didn't push back. If he wanted to, he could have put Wolf on the ground with his arms pinned behind him. He was always the strongest out of all the 4 of us, but he didn't even try to take Wolf's hands off. "It wasn't me, Morgan. I swear it wasn't me," Bench said. Morgan. The sound of his own name, his real name, coming from Bench, took Wolf by surprise. "I don't even believe you," he said. Bench looked over Wolf's shoulder to me. He was looking for help, I knew, but before I could do anything, Wolf let go and took off, bolting down the hall and out the back of the school door, leaving his backpack next to his locker, its parting shot written in all caps for everyone to see. The confession. The war didn't end with an apology. It ended with something else, a phrase that somebody had cooked up and started passing around, an inside joke that didn't stay inside for long. Even if you didn't know what it meant, you could probably ask the person next to you and they would tell you. Or you could figure it out from the way that Wolf dropped his bag and pushed Bench up against the wall, escaping through the back door before anyone could stop him. That one last message on locker B78 in permanent marker that couldn't be scrubbed off, that would have to be painted over in order to be covered, said total Roman. Nothing. Almost nothing. Nonsense. Except for it wasn't. Because words don't always mean the same thing to everyone. Because their meanings can change, and because words can get around, and because this wasn't the first time. I told you I knew how the war had started, and I told you I knew how it ended. I told you it began with ruby sandals, but that wasn't true either. It started long before that. It starts the moment that people see you for the very first time. Standing on the corner, waiting in line, walking down the hall, they get an idea in their heads. Maybe it's because of your shoes or your haircut or your phone. Maybe it's something to do with the neighborhood you're from, the team you're on, the side you take. Whether you look at the other person the right way or even look at them at all. Whether you're too small or too big or too right. Maybe you just like the wrong kind of movies. Maybe you're in the wrong kind of club. Maybe you're just an easy target. It starts on a day in early September, a little over a year ago, at the beginning of 7th grade, still warm enough to dash out and check the mailbox in bare feet, but cool enough that if you tucked your hands into your sleeves while waiting for the bus. Me and Wolf sitting in our locker room before gym, getting changed. A couple of kids we hardly knew look over and see us looking back at him. One of them says to Wolf, "What are you looking at, homo?" And the other one laughs. And that's it. A word, a nudge. I don't think much of it. I've been called less for years. I can even remember who said it that day. I can't remember who said it that day, whether it was Jason or Cameron. Could have been either of them. Could have been anybody. Wolf looks at the tiled floor, then looks over at me to say, "Can you believe those guys?" And I shrug as if to say, "Just forget it." And I did forget it. But Wolf didn't, because sometimes words are shadows, and they follow you around. It doesn't take much. A poem, a catch, a glance, a roll of the dice. It doesn't matter what's true and what isn't. It doesn't matter what you think you know about yourself. The things you have the guts to tell people and the things you don't. You get your label, and then you get ignored, and sometimes you get teased, but mostly you just go about doing your business, thinking things that you would never say out loud, at least not to someone else's face. Because there are some words you know you can't say, not out loud, not without getting into serious trouble. You might whisper them to your friends, but you'd never write them down. Instead, you find another way to say it, a secret way, a secret code, an inside joke, something you've whispered to your buddies for years, for the past 2 weeks. And sometimes they start to whisper it. "He's so Roman." It spreads and everybody knows what it means, but nobody says anything until it's written on your locker for the entire world to see. And we'll stop there. Until next time.